Good morning. It's Sunday. Let's make some pancakes. This is my mother-in-law's recipe. Hasn't failed me yet. It makes great gluten-free pancakes. And yeah, I'm excited to show you guys the process. Here's everything that you're gonna need. Okay, so first things first, I always use a baking tray and I like to set the oven to bake and at a really low temperature, like somewhere between 120 to 210. I think it's Fahrenheit, probably Fahrenheit. And then I just pop this into the oven. So it keeps the pancakes warm. Basically, instead of making your pancakes, putting them on a plate and then letting them cool off by the end of the entire process, you stick them in there, let everything stay warm, and then when it's all done, you can just pop out the tray from the oven, and then you'll have a whole set of really warm pancakes. So that's gonna sit in there. You'll also need a pan, 2 bowls, 1 large, 1 medium size, of course a whisk, whatever this is, a strainer, something like that, spatula, what is this? Yeah. This is gonna get cut afterwards. This is a spatula. You'll need one of these for sure.
Really?
You're also gonna take a 1/3 cup, a 1/2 cup, and a singular teaspoon. And then from your ingredients, I like Siggy's yogurt. It's nice and thick. It's Greek yogurt, very high in protein. I use 2% milk, but you can use whatever type of milk that you like. As for your flour, I really like the Bob's Red Mill gluten-free 1-to-1. You can use whatever type of flour that you want, but in terms of gluten-free options, this is definitely the best one, in my opinion. You'll also need eggs, 4 eggs. We're gonna use some vanilla extract to your heart's desire. Some coconut oil. This is just gonna go into the pan basically and help make your pancakes nice and crispy. And not pictured here, still in the cabinet, some baking powder. So just as the recipe says, we do 3 1/2 cups of flour. And yes, I know that this is what do they call it? Like a regular fraction, like the number on the numerator is greater than the denominator, so technically you could make it into 1.5 cups of flour, but I don't like doing that. I like just saying 3/2. So that's 1, that's 2, and this is 3. This is going into the medium bowl, by the way. Now we're taking the 1 teaspoon. We are going to do our baking powder into here as well. So all of our dry ingredients go together first. And I know that baking is supposed to be precise. I am mostly precise. There we go. So 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And then you just whisk it together so it's all incorporated. Pretty straightforward. And you'll set that off to the side. Okay, so now we're doing 4/3 yogurt, and yes, again, I know it's an irregular fraction. You could call this 1 1/3, but why would you want to dirty more of these measuring cups? So we're just gonna do 4. So 1, 2, you're gonna see why this is gonna come handy in a second. See, this yogurt is very thick. 3, and 4, that's about half of this tub, pretty much. If you're a home chef, you are allowed to lick your fingers. That's the rule. If you're doing this in a restaurant, Probably don't lick your fingers. Or if you're making this for other people. You know, I talk to myself anyway when I make pancakes, so this is kind of better that at least I have a real audience. Okay, so it's mostly emptied now. We're good. Dump that in the sink. Next, we're gonna add the eggs. I'll just pop this over here.
One, oop, got that. 2, 3. Hopefully you guys are better at cracking eggs than I am. 4.
Right? Now we're gonna whisk it all together. Sometimes you have to break up the yolk, but it's all good. It's gonna do what I need it to do. So you want to whisk it until everything is like obviously blended together. You don't want to over whisk to make it like super runny though, because that texture of the yogurt originally was quite thick. So just once you don't see any yellow sticking out on its own, you can stop there. Okay. So I know that you guys are saying, well, Nikta, there's still wet ingredients that we have not added, such as milk, and it says eyeball as well. There is the vanilla extract that I did not include in this recipe right here, but I do like adding it. We are going to add those, but at the very end. The reason being that I just feel that texture-wise and method-wise, this works the best for me. So what I'm gonna do is basically put the flour bit by bit into the sifter. That's what it's called, a sifter. And I'm basically just gonna tap, 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 flour in, and incorporate. And you're gonna repeat this process, and as you go along, you're gonna notice that this batter is going to thicken up. And at some point it will become a lot more difficult. You can even scoop it up like this, honestly. Do whatever works for you.
So tap, 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 sift the flour in, and mix. So yeah, you can already see, like, the texture is changing. It's gonna get thicker. And repeat. See how it's like changing? It's gonna change even more. We're only like halfway through that flour, so it's gonna get really thick. And we keep going. Add the flour. At some point, you're gonna add the flour and you're gonna say, oh look, it's not really incorporating into my batter here. It is, you just need to be persistent. But right around this point, so I've already added half my flour, it's getting like too thick. And this is where I like to start adding my milk. Because you want this texture to be a little bit more liquidy now.
Bring my milk over. So this is what it means by eyeball, right? I just do like a little pour. No measuring here. I mix. Until what looks like those clumps have sort of like smoothened out. More or less. And now I can add my flour again.
And repeat. Add more milk.
Telling you, just the most important measuring device that you're gonna have when you're making your pancakes is your heart. That's what you really need, is to measure with your heart. Except for the dry ingredients, that you should definitely use a measuring spoon. Can you tell that all of the talking to myself has finally paid off? It's like I was ready. I was born for this cooking show. Okay. We're almost at the end.
All right, so this is the last bit of flour going in now. You may notice that things are moving away from the station, and that is because I'm either dumping things into the sink for a later headache to clean, or I'm just moving them basically back into the pantry because a clean space is a happy space. So yeah, just added the flour, adding back more milk. You want this texture to be thick, but it also has to not look clumpy. So this is pretty much almost where I want it. I would maybe add a little bit more milk, which I'm going to do. Think of it almost like a cake batter. It is a pancake after all. So nice and thick. And now we're gonna add our last wet ingredient, which is the vanilla extract. I just find that it makes the pancakes tastier. And again, you're gonna measure with your heart. I just go, whoop, like that. Mix that in. Just smells so good. Like when you mix it, it smells really sweet. It smells like happiness. And that's it. Okay, so that's your pancake mix. So now we're ready to get to the fun part. So you're gonna have your pan on the stove, pop it over to medium-high heat. So ours is an electric stove, so we're at like a 6. I like using coconut oil. Honestly, any type of neutral oil will work, but I find that this makes the pancakes really, really crispy on the top, and it keeps that nice fluffy texture on the inside. So yeah, just scrape out a little bit of this coconut oil. Pop it into the pan. Just sort of leave it in the middle of the pan there. It's gonna melt. When it does, you wanna make sure that it's like spread out all around in the pan, and then you'll be ready to pop your pancake mix into little dollops onto the pan to make your pancakes. So we'll be back soon.
Okay, so you can see the oil is nice and melted. I like to put my hand right over just to feel the heat and know that it's definitely getting hotter. So I think we're ready. So I just use a normal spoon, large enough spoon. I grab a spoonful of the pancake mix and I just pour it right into the pan, into like just a dollop, maybe a dollop and a half. We'll see. I can usually add more. Pour that in. And I don't like to take up too much space in the pan. I want to make sure that I have enough room, 1, to flip them, and 2, sometimes when you flip and you pat them down, they do tend to grow, so I'm not going to make them too big, but just a dollop and a half into each one. Just like that. And sometimes, on my pan, the oil tends to pool up, so I just kind of move it around a little bit. Just tilt the pan. You'll just leave it. Just let it do its thing. Don't rush the pancakes. We'll come back in a second when they're ready, and I'll show you how to flip them.
Okay, so here's what I like to do. I just tuck my spatula under the pancake and I check the underside. And it's definitely looking brown. It's looking crispy, so I think that these are ready to flip. Now, if you're left-handed like me, you will probably get some back spray from the oil. And that's just unfortunately part of the game. There's nothing that I can do to avoid getting burnt sometimes. So just flip, and like things like this are gonna happen. And that's okay. You just swear and move on. So see how crispy it is? Flip. This one could have gone a little bit longer, but it's okay. Sometimes when you flip them over and you see like they're not fully done, see? Just burn my hand. They're not fully done the way that you want them. That's okay. So they're already flipped. You're gonna tap, tap, tap. Let them cook off on this side. You can always flip them back and get them more crispy on the other side. But just tap or press to make sure that the other side is now gonna get nice and browned. And that oil, again, on my pan it tends to pool, so I just like to move the oil around, move the pancakes around. but it's gonna get a nice, beautiful brown color on it. So, and they smell. Yeah, honestly, I don't time these. I never really like follow a clock. This part is all about just experience and following your heart. Or you can just check underneath the pancake and say, hey look, that's done. I can flip it back. Nice and crispy. Look at that, beautiful. Flip this one more time. So basically you just want both sides to be like a nice golden, you can just see like the texture is going to be crispy on those. But when you press down on these guys, they have some bounce. So you know that the inside is definitely going to be fluffy and tasty. So yeah, I've already like flipped these a couple times. Flip once more, just to take a look. Yeah, these guys are looking ready to go into the oven at this point, for sure. So, open the oven. For safety purposes, I would recommend using an oven mitt. Pull this guy out. Pop these guys into the tray. And this is just to keep them warm. It's not like it's going to bake them or anything. It's literally just to keep them warm. Because you're going to make about, I don't know, 20 pancakes maybe with this batter. So, you know, it's just, it's nice. You can just make everything, keep it all in there, keep it warm, and then when everything's done, you can plate. So now we're going to do a time lapse so that no one has to watch me make pancakes for like 40 minutes. And with some movie magic, then everything will be done. So. Okay, so done making all the pancakes. All the dirties are in the sink. Duncan will clean that later, hopefully. I'm going to turn my stove off. Remember to do that for safety. You can always move it off to the side. And this is the part that everyone's been waiting for, I'm sure. At least we have been waiting for it, because we're hungry. Here we go. Our pancakes are ready, and they're beautiful. So I'm going to show you how to plate, and then we're going to eat. And I'm going to turn the camera over to Duncan when we're eating so he can give the review. Thanks. Okay, so now for the fun part, we're gonna plate. So I do about 3-4 pancakes per plate because we are hungry. So 1, 2, 3. I'll do 4 for Duncan because he's been so kind in helping me film this video. 1, 2, 3 for me. And then this is our personal preference, but we like adding cinnamon and maple syrup to ours. You can top with whatever you like. You know, I sometimes do like fruit, like bananas, or even in your pancakes, you can do like chocolate chips or blueberry. That makes them really tasty. Make sure that your maple syrup is high quality maple syrup and not that cheap stuff, because you already came this far in making delicious pancakes, so you may as well top them with the good stuff. So yeah, maple syrup, and we're done. That's it. Those are the pancakes, and now Duncan's gonna give his review.
All right. Good?
10 out of 10.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, Dunk.
Thank you.